Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for the Scrap Room, and I'm sharing with you this layout that I created using Vitamin C from Fancy Pants, and this is the collection that I'm using from the May Flavor of the Month kit. There are 4 flavors that come with every Flavor of the Month kit, and this is the particular one that I chose to use this month. I do have the pattern paper add-on as well as the embellishment add-on that I am using. I do that every month. So what I wanted was I'm going to use these leaves, these tropical leaves, as the background. They're going to frame my layout. And then that pink that you see there, I am also going to put a small frame of that around the white that is going to be my background. And I'm going to tell you right now that I am going to be challenged. Mathematically, math is not my strong suit, and mathematically doing numbers has become even tougher lately than normal. So see, there's the white that I want to use, but I really like the way that that pink just sort of pops the color, not sort of, that it does pop the color on the background there. And so I'm going to use that mermaid or fish scale to do that. You can see I cut it a little too short. I don't know what I was thinking, and so I'm going to have to piece this, which is fine, but because this is a kit and I have a limited amount of paper, and this seems to be a great waste of paper, I am going to gut the middle just as I did for that tropical background that I'm going to use there. So I have a square of white followed by the pink, we'll call it a fish scale. And then the multicolor tropical will be the background there. What I am scrapping today is a picture of my son. So about this time last year, actually, he was down in Florida swimming the open water national championships. This is the first time that our team has sent a team down there. So it was a fun experience for them to be the first ones to try that. And the first time that he has actually swum open water in a ocean, or it was really the bay, but not just a lake, which is where he swum most of his open water swims. So that is what that photo is about. I actually have 2 photos that I wanted to use. The photos are not typical size. I printed them at 2 by 4. And so originally I was going to use both of them, but the way that I have these strips, to offset the photo, I was going to be able to use less of the pattern paper, and I really wanted to be able to use the pattern paper as well as the pictures. And so I have a whole bunch of pictures from this that the coach put on Instagram. And so I will be able to use the rest of the pictures for another layout and just have this be the one that focuses on him. So I went upstairs and I stitched around the white, just white on white, and again for another frame to add to that frame. So you can see I have both of those pictures there, and you can see how the one at the back of him really, it's not necessary. And so by doing what I've done with these strips, I am really able to showcase that one photo. So I'm cutting strips that are 1 3/4 inches wide, and then they are going to be 3 3/4 inches tall. So they're just slightly smaller than the photo. They're probably actually the same size as the photo without that white border there. And so by making them slightly smaller and by popping the photo, you'll see in a little bit that I'm going to put some foam underneath the photo, that the smaller size just kind of pops the photo. So right now they're cut at the same 2 by 4, and you see how the photo kind of gets lost in there. So by cutting them slightly smaller, I'm able to provide some proportional difference that allows you to see, with the photo being the one thing that is different, it allows that to stand out. Does that make sense? I hope I explained that in such a way that that makes sense to you. So I am just using all the different patterns. What I like about the frame being multicolor is that then gives me the basis of my color palette. And so I can use all of these different papers and they all go together, obviously, because they are a collection. It's just a matter of arranging them in such a way that each of the papers pops, but doesn't pop any more than the photo does. So you'll see from of the embellishments, so there's a selection of embellishments that come with the kit, I got that tag there. And I really wanted to use that tag to put the journaling on. But the problem is that the tag is very heavy in weight in comparison to the soft pastels of all of the other things that are there. And while my son has dark hair and is wearing a dark suit, by putting the tag next to the photo, I have this very heavy center weight in the center of the layout. And it just doesn't work for me. Even by putting these circles to try and soften those rectangles and to soften the color, that heaviness in the middle, it still doesn't work. And it's not that it doesn't work. It's not that it's god-awful. It's not that it looks terrible. It looks okay. It's just not the look that I was going for. And so I will try very hard. You'll see me do the Suzanna shuffle and shuffle this tag around a lot to try and get it to work. But I just can't make it be aesthetically pleasing to my eye and how I wanted this layout, how I envisioned it to turn out. I mean, I envisioned it to turn out with the tag, but yeah, no, it gets cast by the wayside there. So that is a strip that says nothing but blue skies. And I like the way that it reads bottom to top. And so that goes in that vertical direction, that same vertical direction that everything else on the layout goes. And then I have these 3 circles, and I like the way that the roundness of the circles breaks up the vertical movement of the page, but you still have that vertical movement of the page there. I really thought that what I typically do with circles is I like to use them above and below and use them cut the circle as I had on the bottom there, but it was going to be tough to cut the circle because of the way that I framed the layout. It didn't make sense visually, and so that's why I end up tucking them in where I'm going to tuck them in. So again, those are some of the embellishments that came with my particular kit. Every kit is going to be slightly different because there are obviously a lot of embellishments to divvy up. So I've committed to these stripes, and I've committed to the circles. It's just a matter of using all of the other embellishments to further embellish the page. I am going to use a couple of things from my stash. I'm going to use some Kerri Bradford stamps. Those are the Florida stamps, as well as some letter stickers. And these letter stickers, I believe, are from Evalicious. And then I'm also going to add some sequins to the enamel dots that come with the kit, and I got green as my particular color. So I backed the photo with some foam, just some craft foam there, and I like the way that the larger size of the photo and the pop there really does pop that photo off of those rectangles. See, there's that tag again. I'm trying so hard to incorporate it, and it could have worked down there at the bottom, but then it didn't really go with the circles, and that's why I end up ditching that. So I have that crab is also from my embellishment collection there, and I'm just going to, later on, I will replace that. So the embellishment add-on for this kit is actually half of the chipboard pack. And so I'm going to replace the crab with the chipboard and use a few other chipboard pieces because that gives, again, some dimension, and I like dimension on my pages. So these are the Kerri Bradford stamps that I was referring to earlier. We were going to go to Florida for spring break. Needless to say, thank you, COVID-19. That got canceled, and so I was still able to use the stamps, which is awesome. So what I have here are the palm trees, and I'm going to stamp them in the very center at the bottom. And so you can see how the photo is not completely centered to the page, and that's okay. I'm perfectly fine with that because the little hole between burn and hot, that circle there, allows me to put this stamp, and this stamp just says Florida. So I'm going to do that. Those are in black. I could have done them in navy blue to go with the blue that's in the layout, but I like black. I like the crisp lightness of black, and so that worked for me. I've got one of my Pink Fresh stamps, and I'm going to stamp head to the beach, enjoy the waves. I don't know that you really want to enjoy the waves while you are doing an open water swim, but it went with the water and Florida theme, and they did kind of head to the beach. So this is the chipboard that I was referring to earlier. I'm going to put the sunglasses because you can kind of tell that he's squinting, and sunglasses kind of would have come in handy there. And there's the chipboard crab that I'm going to replace for the die cut. And then this just says swim. I had thought of putting open water and then swim, and then I thought of moving swim to open water. You'll see where I put the open water in a minute, but I liked the way that there was that cascading verbiage underneath the photo that then was kind of sealed with the palm trees down the bottom there. So that's why I left that as it is. So that is the layout, my friends. I am going to add some sequins, and I am going to get those letters that I talked about earlier or referenced, and I'm going to finish the title. So this was Open Water National Championships. They were down in Tampa, or was it supposed to be Tampa this year? I can't remember. And it was the first time that our team had sent swimmers down there, and they had a good time. And you can see the number on his arm, which was kind of cool. Nothing that he wants to repeat again, but yeah, they had a good time. So those are the sequins that I used. Those are some Spiegel Mom Scrap sequins, and that is the Spring Blooms collection if you were looking to add something to that. I love that I get lots of embellishments, but the enamel dots, I wanted to add a little bit more color, and I was able to do that via the sequins. So these are the Evalicious letters. These are from my stash. The Scraproom kits generally do not come with alphas, and part of that is because you are just getting a sampling of the kits, and it's hard to provide the letters at the same great cost that Rochelle has for these kits. And most of us have a huge stash of thickers anyway, and are always able to find something that matches anyway, right? So again, this is a Scraproom kit. You get 4 flavors every month if you get the flavor of the month kit. You have the option of buying additional embellishments and pattern papers as well. If you subscribe, I recommend that you definitely do that. It's nice to be able to make the kits go a little bit further by having that additional embellishments as well as pattern papers. You do not need to. The kits are definitely usable without, but I like to be able to have the option of having just that little bit extra. So that, my friends, is my layout for this month. Thanks for stopping in today. If you have any questions about the kits, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.